Thank you very much for staying with us. We now talk about, the recently released World Bank report, casting a shadow on the gains being set by the federal government that they said they have made, especially the Tinubu administration the past 2 years, about the reforms, the headline policies and decisions in which on October 1st, the president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said he's working, and using his word, he said, we have turned the corner, whatever that means. But then there is a report that in which World Bank has called on Nigeria to ensure that the positive outcomes from its recent macroeconomic reforms translate into real improvement in citizens' living standards. And that's key, citizens' living standards, as new estimates show that about 139 million Nigerians are living in poverty. The country director for Nigeria, Matthew Vegis, made the appeal on Wednesday during the launch of the latest update, the latest Nigeria Development Update NDU report in Nigeria. And Vegis commended the federal government for implementing bold policy reforms. So they commended them on one hand, particularly the removal of petrol subsidy and exchange rate unification, noting that these actions have begun to stabilize the economy and lay a stronger foundation for long-term growth. Over the last 2 years, let me quote a part of the report now. Nigeria has implemented major reforms around the exchange rate and petrol subsidy, and those policies have laid the foundation for transforming the country's economic trajectory for decades to come. Now, the effect of these measures are becoming evident in improved revenues, stabilizing foreign exchange, growing reserves, and a gradual decline in inflation. And they said growth has picked up, revenues are risen, debt indicators are improving, the FX market is stabilizing, reserves are rising, and inflation is finally beginning to come down. These are major achievements, and many countries would envy them. However, despite these stabilization gains, many Nigerians are still struggling. And according to them, in 2025, we estimate, that's World Bank now, that 139 million Nigerians live in poverty. The challenge is clear: how to translate reform gains into better living standards for all. And the NDU report is titled From Policy to People, Bringing the Reform Gains Home. Many things, they said. They talk about food inflation that are affecting everyone, but hit the poor the hardest. It also threatens to undermine political support for reforms. Tight monetary policy is essential, but it must be complemented by structural measures that tackle supply and market bottlenecks. So much to unpack this morning. We have been joined to look into these for us as Nigerians, as analysts, and what they see about this report. Public Affairs Analyst and Comrade LANRE FADAHUNSI. Good morning, sir. Good to have you here.
Morning, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And of course, at the other end, virtually we have an investment banker, an economist, Aseda, just says the Zoom. Mr. Aseda, good morning.
Good morning. Good to be here.
Thank you very much. Let me start with you. What do you make of this report? The report from the World Bank in which they applauded the bold steps of the government and whatever it is that they have achieved, stabilization of the FX, unification of the FX rather, the removal of subsidy and all of these things. But at the other end, they now said what this has done, more money in the hands of the federated unit, is stabilizing. What is remaining, according to World Bank, is, transferring these gains, whatever it is, into real, prosperity for Nigerians. The standard of their living, getting improved. But it seems the federal government has dispelled that. They are rejecting that. Do you see this as an indictment on the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, or is just a reality?
Well, thanks for having me once again. The reality is that these are even just statistics-based information. The reality on the streets is even worse. That's the reality on ground now. And the level of unemployment and these other issues are factors to be looked at. Yeah. First and foremost, when you look at the reports, there was a time we had conversation here about when Mr. Kojowela came to visit the president. And the message that people hyped the most then were those add-ups that yes, the policies are good in studying the economy, but the underlying factor that she mentioned was this poverty issue. That majority of Nigerians are now sliding into gross poverty, that government should look into that. And if you ask Nigerians, oh, safety nets are not for social issues, 300 billion was distributed, and people will say, to who? There are things you do that goes to show sincerity of purpose when you want to reduce poverty indeed. Now, when you ask from the records they gave, they said economic mismanagement was one of the reasons why these issues persist, despite the gains of the policies. And when you want to get out of poverty, in all honesty, you must look at what can take you out of poverty. In Yoruba land, you said if hunger is out of poverty, that poverty is reduced by half. So how do you feed your population? That you will not rely on foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is for goods that you want to bring that you probably do not have. You don't need to bring yam. You don't need forex for that. You must have a policy that would attach agriculture as something that can take the nation out of poverty. You reduce the purchasing power because of the parity you are putting against the dollar. The dollarization of the Nigerian economy that has not been productive enough to get things that it wants is what has brought us to this sorry pass. The strength of the naira deepens in a slide on a daily because we are not producing the basic domestic things we need. If you go on the shelves of most shops, made in China, most products, at the end of the day, we saw it and we discussed it here when China in Abuja opened a shop for its citizens, purchasing yen. Because the owners of this country have destroyed our own currency using another nation's currency to judge theirs. If we had used the yen as the equitable
as a
yardstick for exchange, things will not be even this bad, because those are the people bringing us things that we're using the most. So when people are just looking at the records, yes, professionals will say, oh, the gains of it is not in the lives of the citizens. Whatever gains we talk about. And then the priorities that we attach those gains to is one of those things. I traveled regularly Ibadan or Osogbo every time, almost every other day. And I know that road cannot help production in any ways.
Comrade, sorry, you know, and that's what the one back is saying, that these policies are good. They are, according to them, there is stability now, you know, by their definition. But let it translate into better lives for your people. Exactly. And who is a poor person now? If we were to use World Bank, you know, definition, they define extreme poverty using an international poverty line, most recently set at 2021, you know, in 2021, $3 per day, $3 per day. And this threshold is an update from previous versions, such as the $2.15, 2017, that was the PPP then, and is used to track progress in eradicating poverty, a key goal of the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, is it really bad, the way it sounds? Let me ask you before Danny comes in. Is it really bad that, okay, things were on a free fall before, now you stabilize? What you need to do from here is let it translate into better lives for your people. And the government is already refuting that. Shouldn't just they pick on this word and say, okay, that means we are working. Let's see how this thing will translate into better lives for people. Does it really portray this administration in a bad light? Does it show that they are not doing well? Is that what it means?
The focus of the administration should look more into how they can solve the problems at home. I'll give you an instance. For instance, China. When China now was going to have its 360 degrees, decided whatever they cannot produce, they will not consume. They have the highest population in the world. Do you understand? So the world wants to trade with them because they have population. And at the end of it all, those things is, in China, $1 per day will probably feed a Chinese citizen for a week. Do you understand? So in America, when you manufacture in America, you must pay about you must pay about $5 per hour. So what you pay somebody $40 a day in America for, come to China with your company, you need just $1 a day. And that $1 will take the Chinese citizen for a week because he will be spending yen. So you don't destroy the currency of the local community at the expense of that. Now, for instance, when we started having bureau de change and all, I realized, look, this cannot help Nigeria. Because if Femi wants to go to America to do business, give him a CBN check from Nigeria. So that you cannot use CBN check of Nigeria in Nigeria. You must go outside. So people will go to CBN, collect dollars by wire and everything, and go to Sabo and sell. So it's not going out. The transactional use of another nation's currency on your land is what has brought us to this. If you go to Cotonou, as close as it is to us, you can enter Cotonou with 10 million naira based on ECOWAS agreement with 100 million naira in your car. They will say, okay, save Johnny, go and buy. But you can't take $200, they will seize it. Because they know what damage it will do to the economy if you allow you bring that freely into their country. And that has kept the exchange rate stable, the exchange rate reasonable, and the economic life okay and stable. So to me, it's unfortunate we are having these issues now. The government has done well with the policies, but the management of the gains is to some misplaced, some others, because you can't do agriculture, you can't do security. Security, for instance, absolutely. People cannot go to the farm. Secure the farmlands, give employment to people. Look, if you say, I want to do graduate employment, all graduates, but you work on the farm, you earn a graduate's pay. Look, a lot of people traveling from Nigeria, let's be realistic. Some are doing Uber driver. Absolutely. Some are doing menial jobs, but are getting paid well. Yeah. And so, if you earn like $100 or $200 working for a day, whether you are washing toilet or cleaning, that money by value has shown you there is a value to that life you are living. You don't have to be white collared or something. But here, we are now not looking at that. Go to the farm, we will pay you a graduate's pay. And Nigerians will do it, of course. They will do it. But government is not looking that way. You would have taken a lot of people out of the poverty index. You have put them on unemployment level, so they are no longer part of the unemployed. And the gains of whatever you do, but are the farmlands even protected? Are people not taking advantage of the security lapses and doing what they like to those who go to the farms? All right. And so all of this put together goes to say we must be focused on production locally. We must be focused on sourcing most things we need to produce. Look at some products now. You see Pando Yam and the rest of them. Those people just use initiative and do things, and they're selling. They're in big business. So people can use that initiative if things are focused towards them. The poverty money was sent to who? You understand? You won't know. And 300 billion, look at the figure. Comrade FADAHUNSI, 330 billion, according to Mr. President, disbursed to 8 million Nigerians. That's what they said. Households. Yeah, 8 million households. So who are these people? If none of us here on this table know anyone who has received... But the reality of it is, we know how to... You say it's audio money, like some young guys will call it. They say it's audio money, because if indeed you want to do certain things, we all saw examples of it during COVID-19. That a child who information in the school shows she's about a teenage girl that would need some basics for herself, had a box dropped in front of her home with her name on it. So the parents knew this is for you, and they put sanitary towels, stuffs, like, because that's her age. You use the statistics and records of your citizens to get to them. Absolutely. If you go to the bank, you will have banking, so that a Dangote will collect part of that thing because it's palliative of policies. So as a Nigerian, if he gets his share, let others get theirs too. The moment you don't want to so that Oluyede will see his own in his account, you get yours, I'll get mine. It will do differently for all of us, but the moment you are saying you want to beat poverty, you cannot correct it like that. It's not done.
Okay, just before I go to Mr. Aseda, Comrade, apart from the trade deficit you identified, and of course the fact that we are not producing, low production in Nigeria, how about the devaluation of the naira, okay, by the government for decades? That has also affected the economy, because it was, of course, the idea of the Bretton Woods organizations who advised Nigeria to devalue the naira, and the government did, and they kept devaluating the naira for decades. That is part of what got us to this point in the first place. Apart from the fact that, of course, it went on a free fall when this current administration took office, I think we should also take note of that point.
The government has done well. However, it should reflect in the lives of the people. This devaluation we're talking about, a policy will solve it. You want to do any business outside Nigeria, use Naira card. Simple. But the moment, you see, if I have links to CBN and I tell them, oh, I want to do business in a manufacturing concern, and they say, okay, we approve $50,000, $100,000 for you, and I pack that record, I come out, I can sell even outside the office. Because, I mean, you are transacting in currency. It does not bring any real value. But if you outlaw it as a nation and fix all this fluctuation,
there should be legislation to that effect.
That you cannot spend dollar in Nigeria, it is a crime.
All right.
So that way, those who need yen will not look for dollar. You go to the country where you want to go and trade and get the country's currency there. I had a friend that called in and said, wait a minute, I was at Dubai and I got to the airport thinking because I was holding dollars, I can conveniently buy a ticket. I said, no way, you must go outside. You bring your dirham to buy or sell here. So you have to travel far to go and look for where you could get the money.
No, there should be people changing at the airport. I've seen
they don't, because they use their currency. When you are coming in, you are expected to have come with a document that will get you their currency for you. So conveniently, it's not within that. So you'd have thought, oh, you are holding dollars, the world currency, that everybody wants it. In some places, they rely on their own currency.
Absolutely.
We should rely on ours.
Yeah, you have to change to dirhams first.
So we have to rely on ours too to get things done. And then look at how we can do policies and programs that will be physical and realistic. Not just something we see on paper in statistic records.
All right, Comrade LANRE. Let's quickly move to Mr. Aseda. Mr. Aseda, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm very much so.
All right. Part of the concerns raised by the World Bank is the fact that the government is not managing public resources in a proper manner. Yeah, they talked about mismanagement of public resources. The federal government has saved trillions of naira as a result of removal of petrol subsidy, which we also call fuel subsidy, right, here in Nigeria. So according to Mr. President, he even acknowledged that in a speech on Independence Day, saying that Nigeria has saved trillions of naira. But Mr. Aseda, how has it affected the lives of Nigerians? You are an economist, and recently, just this week again, Mr. Aseda, the President has requested approval from the National Assembly to secure another $2.55 billion loan. According to him, he explained that will be used for servicing Euro bonds, and he said it's in line with global best practices, and another $500 million for Sukuk for infrastructural projects in Nigeria. Mr. Aseda, how do we, explain all this? We are saving so much money as a result of the reforms. The federal government has more money. According to them, they've disbursed to different tiers of government in Nigeria. But so far, according to the World Bank and according to Nigerians who live in Nigeria like us, we know that it hasn't affected the lives of the average Nigerian. What exactly is happening? What is it disconnect? Where is the disconnect coming from?
Okay, let me quickly make a small comment concerning, the money cash transfer to the households. You mentioned that the government mentioned that the government has disbursed 330 billion naira to 8 million
households at 25,000 naira each.
Well, At 20, oh, 20, you,
yeah, Mr. President said it himself, 25,000 naira each. Yes.
25,000 naira each,
absolutely,
which is, well, abysmal. So what could that do? So you ask a family, how many days will it take them to spend the 25,000 naira? Just maybe 1 or 2 days, and it's over. So what I'm about to say is that, what I'm trying to say is that giving handouts to Nigeria is not the way out. It's not going to solve the problem. You know, bringing, borrowing money under different kinds of guys is not going to really help Nigerians, except the money is put into ventures or infrastructures that will allow for Nigerians to thrive, even at micro level in enterprises. So those are the things that we expect the government to do. You know, all the micro. I honestly, I've said this several times. I have no respect, no regard for whatever the World Bank is saying, because the World Bank is one of the people that brought us to where we are right now as a nation. You know, you are lending money to a country, to an individual, and there is nothing to show for it, and you keep borrowing. And you keep lending, even when there is absolutely nothing to show for the amount of money that you are forwarding to the country. I think they are also complicit in what we're experiencing in the country, and I think it's hypocritical of them to be talking to the Nigerian government about trying to make things better. I don't understand it.
Mr. Aseda,
one of the things that the measure or that they are using to measure that, you know, the stability is the exchange rate, you know, that is stable. And you know, the truth of the matter is that you need to ask this government. This government is defending naira, and that's why the dollars and naira to dollar is stabilizing, because they are pumping money into it to shore it up. That's the truth. Even the World Bank, within 2 or 3 months of the devaluation of naira, the World Bank, you know, IMF extended a hand of $75 billion to the Nigerian government to defend naira. So they are not talking about these things, but we know these things. So why is dollars stabilizing when we're seeing importing a lot? It means that we're spending a lot. They see a lot. They see the demand, a lot of demand for dollars, and then compared to what we are earning, it's still small. So
absolutely,
these are basic issues that really need to be talking about, because this government is like whatever they are doing is like window dressing. You know, it's not really speaking to the problems that Nigerians are facing, and that's why we're not feeling it at the street level, at the
Mr. Aseda, sorry to cut in. If you say the World Bank is complicit and they are being hypocritical in their report, but shouldn't we as a nation be taking responsibility? And here's how I mean. Recall that I said just this week the president made a fresh request for $2.55 billion loan. And now he tried to explain it in his letter to the Senate, saying part of it, most of it rather, we use for, to service Eurobonds. And according to Mr. President, he says it is in line with global best practices. Now, let's leave that on one side. But quite worrisome for me is the fact that, Mr. Aseda, part of that money will be used to service the 2025 Appropriation Act. And here's my question, Mr. Aseda. If we are saving trillions of naira, okay, as a result of these reforms, why are we still borrowing to service 2025 Appropriation Act in Nigeria?
You know what? Honestly, you have to be we have to be, I like the question you're asking, because that's the kind of questions that we would like to ask the government and for them to give us answers. Really, we are not having answers to these things. And the truth of the matter is that we cannot answer these questions because we don't have, there's not enough transparency and disclosures concerning government expenditures and what they are doing with funds. Now, that is on one side. Now, in finance, what sometimes we do this. Now, you have borrowed money, and the money you borrowed is due or is getting due, and you don't have the fund to service it. What you do is to acquire another loan to service that one. So you are changing your creditor, but the bulk of your debt is still intact. As a matter of fact, by the time you change one one creditor to another, what you are basically doing is that the volume of your loan is also increasing because the person that's borrowing money is paying for both the capital and the interest.
Absolutely.
And then it's going to add interest to it. So, it becomes bigger. So that some of these things that, they may not let us know, they may not say, but that's what it is.
But the recklessness here for me, Mr. Aseda, is the fact that, you've also explained it, which I quite understand, what the president tried to explain, borrowing to service Eurobonds. But the concern for me is that we are still borrowing to service the budget, which is worrisome. So if we saved all these trillions of naira, shouldn't we be asking the government, what are they doing? So where is the transparency? Where is integrity? We'll go on a quick break now, Mr. Aseda. When we return, I'd like you to speak more on that. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. This morning, we are still talking about Nigeria's economy. This is Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. And we are taking a look at the World Bank report, which says about 139 million Nigerians are living below the international poverty line. The presidency has disagreed with the World Bank, saying it is not so, but Nigerians think otherwise. We have joined us on this conversation, Mr. Jose Aseda, an economist, a developmental economist. Thank you, Mr. Aseda, for staying with us.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And we also have Comrade LANRE FADAHUNSI with us in the studio. Thank you, Comrade FADAHUNSI, for staying with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Mr. Aseda, just before we went on that break, I was asking a question. The fresh borrowing requests by Mr. President, totaling almost $2.84 billion, part of which would be used for the refinancing of Euro bonds, which he explained is what is done globally, that is quite in line with global standard. But again, just before we went on that break, I was trying to get from you why we should also be borrowing at this point to service our budget. The 2025 Appropriation Act that was part of the reasons given by Mr. President for the external borrowings. So the question here is, Mr. Aseda, if Nigeria is saving so much money, trillions of naira as a result of the reforms, majorly removal of fuel subsidy and other reforms, if we have so much money, if the government is making so much money, why then should we be borrowing to service 2025 Appropriation Act? So is this a case of poor planning, or just reckless spending on the part of the government, or mismanagement of resources, like the World Bank clearly noted?
You know what? It's a mixture of almost everything you mentioned. Okay, so one of the things that when he said it's best practices to borrow money to finance a debt, yes, it is true. That's one of the things that we do as investment and finance professionals. So it is in order, but it comes at a cost. So that has to be said. And I've explained that. What in essence is that your loan portfolio balance. So that is by the way. Now, with regards to borrowing to finance the budget, honestly, now this is where we are, and I have to be very frank with you how this is done. Yes, you can borrow to finance your budget, but it depends. The question you ask yourself: what is the context? okay, what do you exactly have? What do you have exactly in your budget that requires, a borrowing to do? So, broadly, the budget is basically divided into there's capital budget and there's recurrent expenditures. So if you are borrowing to finance capital project, and that may be good. So we still drill it down a little bit. What is the value of those capital projects that you are trying to undertake? How viable are they? How can they contribute to the economic growth in the country? So these are basic questions that we really have to ask. And then again, from where the government is standing and what they've said, like 2 years ago, now they are over 2 years in government, was that the government do not have money. So some of these projects have advocated for it, including the western, or the coastal road that the minister Ubayi was trying to defend. This project do not necessarily have to be funded by the government. It could be, funded by private individual that frees up money in government to do other things. And then some of the things that we're talking about that the government could do are things that have direct impact on the economic activity in the country. Some things that will cause businesses to thrive. Nigerians do not need handouts. What you needed to do is to create an enabling environment for them to be able to do the businesses that they want to do.
Mr. Aseda.
So those are the things that we really need to do. Yes,
all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I understand you must go in the next few minutes. I have a question for you before I move to Comrade here. The presidency has reacted to that, actually, and they disputed the latest economic report by Nigeria's biggest multilateral lender. Of course, that's the World Bank. And on this matter, and they described the figure as unrealistic and detached from the country's economic realities. And this was said by Sunday Dare, the special advisor on media and public communications. And he said the poverty figures must be properly contextualized, those are his words, within the limits of global poverty measurement models. He said while Nigeria values its partnership with the World Bank and appreciates its contributions to policy analysis, the figure quoted must be properly contextualized. And, they gave the explanation that the 139 million figure was derived from the global poverty line of $2.15 per person per day, set in 2017, using purchasing power parity, that's the PPP, and should not be mistaken for an actual head count of poor Nigerians. And they noted that when converted to nominal terms, they gave all those things, yada, yada, yada. Because of time now, the president has said we should contextualize this and know where we are right now. You can't just use global index and parameters to judge what is happening in Nigeria. What do you say to that?
I think they're trying to be smart by half. The question is that you have to look at, in Nigeria, in the presidency, the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is in the presidency. And they have figures that shows that poverty is actually increasing at a very alarming rate in Nigeria. So that is what it is. Do you understand? So you cannot say, for example, in your house, you used to eat 3 times in a day. Now suddenly you are eating once in a day, and then you're not saying, in other places, they are not eating they are just eating half of one in a day, and we have one, so we are better. What do you mean by that? In the context of your house, you have dropped from 3 to 1. That is the context. So you have dropped from 3 to 1. So you cannot say, because elsewhere it is worse. You just have to look at yourself. Where are you? The Bible talks about comparing ourselves with ourselves, that we are not wise, and that's what it is. So what is going on with you, with Nigeria? That's what we should concentrate on. Do we have enough food in this country? No. What is the inflation rate on food? how much food, if food is increasing in prices, it means that it's not enough. That's an indication. So you are not producing more food. So the cost of food is, how much are they selling egg, a crate of egg, compared to like 2 years ago? And you say, okay, we are okay, we are
more
better
than 100%
people.
Increase.
No, so that is quite wrong, and I'm really disappointed in the guy that released that
Mr. Sunday Dare.
Mr. Sunday Dare. I'm really disappointed.
And he had it.
He has families.
Mr.
Aseda, and tell his family members he was just saying
that what truly matters. Yes, what really matters is not static figure, but the direction of change. He said Nigeria's economy is now on a recovery and reform trajectory, driven by policies designed to ensure inclusive growth and social projection. So by inference, he's saying, leave the statistics, let's see our direction. Isn't that something to ponder on? That, and many persons are even the World Bank said, the only things are, the policies are stabilized, but let it translate to actual prosperity. Is that too difficult to ask?
Now, the only direction that matters is what the ordinary. Now, listen, the ordinary people are actually. Let's break it down. Don't say, oh, this is a business professional. Every single individual in this country is a businessman. So it's either you are offering a service to an enterprise that's giving you pay. That's a business. There's a transaction. So, and then you see people that are not even engaged, who are not employed. They are spending money somehow. They are also doing some form of business. So what we're just saying is that, look, whatever you are doing, create the enabling environment. Good road, security. We're talking about basic infrastructures, electricity, good health system. Those are the things that we're asking for, and I believe that is not too much for any government. So you do that you see that 330 billion naira that is being distributed at 25 naira. That's very laughable. Use it to invest it into power. Those people will spend more than 25,000 naira in a month to pay their bills, to pay electricity bills, to pay for water bills. They will, if you put tolls on the road, they will pay for it just to get to where they are going, and then they will have more than that 25,000 because they must have had more than that 25,000 to be able to live. You understand? To be able to pay those bills. You take care of those ones and let Nigerians see what Nigerians will do. This is why we're saying this is why everybody's saying that you see Nigerians go out of this country and they do very well. Why? Because we're just who we are. We're enterprising people. We know what to do. We can get our hearts together. We can get the job done. Give us the opportunity. That's all this government needs to do. And then the rating or the poverty, whatever, is going to disappear in a few years.
We must sincerely thank you. You say Aseda, an investment strategist, and of course economist, and of course in Nigeria. Thank you for your time today. We take a quick break right now. We still have Comrade LANRE FADAHUNSI here, and of course the conversation will continue. You're on to Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Stay with us. Thank you very much for staying with us. We're on the home stretch right now. We're talking about the recently released, report about the World Bank stating that Nigerians fell into further poverty, 139 million. And I said, putting by, using the figures that were said just a week ago at the United Nations General Assembly, where in New York, where the Vice President talked about the Security Council seat, and he made some positions and quoted, our population to be 236 million. So when you do the math, 139 million, that's the figure from the World Bank, is poor, according to this is the PPP 2021 definition of the United Nations that put poverty line, anybody below that line, that's $3 per day, is actually poor. And Nigerians, how much is $3 per day right now? That's
like 4-5.
4,500 naira. Okay, so anybody living below that is poor. And, you know, maybe that's why some will say many persons don't live or even up to 3,000 naira per day. That's the issue here. Now, comrade, so what do we do from this place now? Mr. Aseda talked, you have talked earlier on, but the government is refuting this. Shouldn't just, if you're in government, not because you are sycophant or because you must do your job, shouldn't you be picking on this and saying, okay, that means we are working. This is next line of action now. Let's activate the next line of action so that it can show on our people. Why now, Minister Sunday Dare, former Minister Sunday Dare, who speaks for the president, public communication right now, is saying, no, please, this is not where we are right now. Leave the static figures. Let's look our direction. That is what he's saying. Don't you think the government should be picking on this to say the World Bank recognizes what we are doing? So guys, let's activate the next plan. Let's make this to show on our people. Shouldn't that be what they should be doing?
Well, I find
instead of seeing it as an indictment on what they are doing.
When you are focused on policies and actions, then you get results that will be positive. Now, let's take it from brass tacks. The minimum wage of 70,000, when we were discussing it then, is below poverty line.
Yeah.
That $2-3 you are talking about is about 100,000 a month. It goes to show that by the policy of the government itself, it has impoverished the citizens directly. Because one, if even at that level, the purchasing power is high, then we would have said, well, it doesn't really matter. We're not talking dollars. We are living in Nigeria.
Naira,
but you have devalued the Naira even below the reasonable level. And what you can do is to shore up your food production so that once food is cheaply available, you will not use the foreign exchange to value what food you have, but you don't even grow food. And you have closed the borders so that cheap food cannot even come in. So all this together, Mr. Asonidare is doing his job. You understand? And a host of others who speak for government are doing their job, but they are not functioning in that tripartite function of being the ears of government or what is coming from outside.
I'm sorry, comrade. Do you know why I had to say that? I shouldn't just they say, guys, we are working. Let's activate the next plan, because the same World Bank report recognized everything the government said they have done. They say, yes, you are working.
Policy, let me tell you something. What is World Bank selling?
Yeah.
World Bank is selling money.
You are working. The FX has been united. You are making more money.
Listening to me.
No, I'm just trying to put it that even the World Bank recognize what the same government said they are doing.
Because you are helping that World Bank do its business better.
Activate the next plan.
You are helping World Bank. World Bank is not for the people. It's for the owners of the business. It's a business. So if you are aligning their own currency against yours, they see you as a good person.
Absolutely.
If you are helping World Bank to project its own currency and say we are taking more loans, you are helping them because it's not zero digit.
But the same people are saying, let it reflect on your people. That's the point.
That is why, because they know gradually, you see the likes of Burkina Faso is telling people, you just color paper with ink and you say it's stronger than my gold. You see, they don't want that freedom.
Yeah. And they're not taking loans anymore.
Do you understand? They don't want that freedom of mind to be in their customers. Nigeria is one of their customers. So they are saying, look, reduce this poverty. Don't let everybody start thinking like Burkina Faso guy. You understand? So that is why they must warm up to the Nigerian government and say, hey, your policies are good because it's helping our business. But then look at these people because they start start saying, carrying Burkina Faso flag in your country.
Comrade LANRE.
They know the
Comrade
LANRE.
Away from these figures now, for a moment, away from the figures the World Bank gave, the presidency has come out to reject that report simply because it's not favorable to them. The World Bank is telling us the bitter truth that Nigerians are suffering. You and I are Nigerians. We know Nigerians are suffering. But if you look at the figures at face value, the World Bank is saying 139 million Nigerians living below poverty line. Out of 236 million Nigerians, okay, that leaves a difference of about 97 million. Well, if you look at that figure alone on its own, as a Nigerian, what do you think? If they say 139 million Nigerians are living below poverty line, that's 58.9% of the population of Nigeria. Do you think the World Bank is not even being conservative in that report. If only 58.9% are living below poverty line in Nigeria.
The index they use static index that gives figures like that is beyond that. It's more beyond that. Nigerians live one day at a time. As in, tomorrow will fend for itself. Let's just live for today because that's all we can provide for. That if we eat once today and God says it becomes two tomorrow, but that is not a structured system. We are in this Nigeria that we are saying, oh, all these prices are going up. If you ask people who transport food and others from the north and the rest, they'll tell you over 16, 17 stop points where you pay major to security people so that they will tell you the road is clear, you pay. So all those factors will come on the goods you are bringing. So if you buy a bag of maybe tomatoes for 40,000, by the time it gets here, it's 90. And those who buy at 90 will now still take it to the market and put their own. So what is it? They'll say fuel subsidy. Well, all these things are not helping at all.
So, comrade, the reality is even worse than the picture the World Bank is painting.
The World Bank is painting. But you see, when you are in business with somebody that is helping your own business, you don't want to completely disparage of what they are doing. But they don't want, just so that we won't lose this market, take care of these people, they are shouting. You see, that's just the idea. But you see, in Nigeria, for instance, we saw a Michelle Obama say that in the government house, they pay for their food.
Yeah.
So how can Nigerian, Mr. Daddy is probably being fueled, this guy is fueled every day because he's working for government. So government that is telling people tighten your belts, their own lifestyle does not reflect it.
Comrade, she even said they pay for entertainment for their guests.
Yes, you bring guests, you pay. And I know of a fact that I've read in one of our books that it says even if you buy Fanta for somebody that comes to visit you in government house, it should be from your money.
Because they are your guests.
They are your guests. It's not government. If you have official government
state
guests,
function, yeah.
that is state function. But do we have that kind of mentality now? We don't.
People even carry party functions to state house.
I will now tell you
political
that
party meeting.
We have bought a jet for the president, and to the American people and others who are loaning us money, they are like, wait a minute, your past president bought some in 2019. It's not even Tokubo. Why are you understand? Misplaced priorities.
No, they said the president's life is very precious, that they should do everything to safeguard.
Very well.
That's why he needs a brand new jet.
So to me,
of course,
if I'm borrowing you money and your lifestyle is verbose and over and above mine, I can't even give you debt relief. You know Obasanjo got debt relief in those days.
Absolutely.
There are some things, your steps you take, that
you had a great economic team.
Your creditor will say, hey, wait a minute, it looks like this person is serious about this. We can let go. Because everything they call their own, the gains of it,
Comrade,
is more.
As we custom, are you saying, by inference now, that the World Bank advised to the Nigerian government saying you are working, but because for me and for many Nigerians, that's just the takeaway. You are working and it shows like you have some things going on. Just take this plan from here and let it translate to prosperity, and improve well-being on the life of your citizenry. Now, this is the issue. Are you saying this advice from World Bank is not coming from a good place? It's not because they love the people. No. It's just for their vested business interests. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that absolutely. The World Bank is not,
and the Bretton Woods
institutions to love the people. Do you get? They want to make business and gain. And so whatever will make business continue is what is good for them. Now, for instance, we're talking about reforms and the rest of it. Subsidy was gone so that we can have savings. Flotation of forex so there can be stability. Why is borrowing high? Why have we now borrowed more than previous administrations?
I think that's the question Daniel was asking the other time.
Those who are paying subsidy, a Jonathan paid subsidy, a Buhari paid subsidy. They did not. They had official exchange rate, but yet they did not borrow as much in that 8 plus maybe 6 years. The borrowing of those 14 years or thereabout is not as much as the borrowing of these last 2 years.
So the oil windfall was heavy then, so they are pushing.
It was heavy because the rate of the naira was still stronger. But now the rate of the naira is gone. So in figure, it's huge money. In reality, it's little money.
The president said we are not borrowing internally again. He said that.
The external borrowing is the killing one.
Well, everybody borrows, isn't it? Every nation borrows.
For instance, I'm borrowing you money. You have federal roads that link states within hinterland and all, where your people can travel in between and do quick, brisk business. If you want to go to Ibadan to do business, you need some 3-4 hours from Oshogo. That is supposed to be 45 minutes. Do you get it?
And some Psalm 21 and Psalm 22.
Because it's like the death trap. So now the government has shifted to the coast.
Coastal road.
As you get the drift. So 800 kilometers of federal government fixed roads in Nigeria will take care of economy largely.
And the minister was not even able to answer how much they are spending on
those who
that
gave you
road.
loan have looked at the due process of even the contract of your major project and realized lapses. So they will believe. Do they take you serious? They won't. But they don't want their money to be lost.
But do you know we have been taking these recently released report from the World Bank from the angle of the federal government alone? The state government has a part to play in all of that as well. The poverty we are experiencing or the Nigerians experiencing is not solely from Abuja, isn't it? They have more money now. And so it's not reflecting. Why are we picking Tinubu alone?
They have more money. And the purchasing power of that
Adeleke has more money. Makinde has more money.
The purchasing power of that money has reduced.
Still, they have it.
My brother.
Even if it has reduced, they are still buying stuff for themselves.
Look at it this way.
So why are we taking the federal government angle alone?
State and local governments, 37 of them, local governments, 774 of them, collect 42% out of 100. The federal government takes 52.
Yet, those monies have improved.
Now, the 52...
Did you say 42 for the state?
No. State and all 774 local governments.
Did you say 42?
42. That's what the two of them...
Okay, that'll be 58 for the federal government.
58. So 58%. How is it being used across the nation, not on the coast? You understand? So all of these things, I don't know, the governors, yes, they are getting money.
Yes.
But the income they are paying too has gone up. So I tell people, I say, look, okay, 500 liters of fuel per day for every state. When you are buying it at 100, and that same 500, you have not increased it. When you are now buying at 900, do you get almost 4 or 5 times higher than? So have they started earning 5 times of what they were earning before? You get. So that's where because every other thing they do that is on a regular has shut up.
So, Comrade, on your own part as a Nigerian, why do you think the federal government is in denial of this report? Even though as an average Nigerian, you know that the reality is even worse for the Nigerian, for the average Nigerian. Why is the federal government, why is the presidency in denial of the World Bank report?
That's why I loved Baba Kwade in his days. He said diplomacy is deceit. When you say you use diplomacy, they're being diplomatic. That's what they are supposed to say. Oh, we don't accept this report. They know all those people who made the reports know it's worse, but they cannot pin it except for facts available. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, go and check their records. They won't lie about what was the economic situation, what was the GDP like in the days of Jonathan, what was the GDP like in the days of Buhari, what is the GDP like today. It is facts and figures, and it has declined seriously.
All right.
Now, so because they know in the international worldview, you are supposed to use available facts to derive results. So, so they won't lie about that. So when you now want to really know the true position, NBS will tell you these are the figures.
Thank you, Comrade.
Well, NBS is still a government.
But you see, because they cannot hide like that.
Yeah.
But some who speak for
but they are believed to be trustworthy.
Those who work for government
cast
will, because you can't cast aspersion on them because they know that's what they
serious
do.
Business.
Will question.
It might be a serious business, Comrade. It might be a serious business, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't question them. I don't take
question them.
Comrade, I don't take everything the MBS releases hook, line, and sinker.
No, you don't have to. What I'm saying is They will be using empirical available facts to them. Do you get? So that if they say because of 30% of what we saw here, and you now met it at 60, they will be careful.
Gentlemen, we're out of time. Yeah, thank you very much. Of course, everything, even if the president, I say something, it should be questioned. That's why we are here.
Yeah.
All right. But then, one of the credible institutions of the government, at least as it looks, is still the Bureau of Statistics. When there are doubts, trust us to always look into that. And by the way, just let us put it there. The FAC allocation I talked about, the way it's been distributed, the revenue is collected from the Federation account of the federal government, approximately 52.68% for federal government. State, approximately 26.72%. Local government, approximately 20.60%, with 13% of the revenue from oil-producing states also allocated as a derivation fund to those specific states. So, just to protest your point, the federal government still takes the bulk, more than 52% of whatever we are having right now. Comrade LANRE FADAHUNSI, a labor enthusiast, public affairs analyst, and of course a Nigerian. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. Thank you for the time you take. All right, Femi Ojo is my name. God bless Nigeria. We'll come back tomorrow for a special edition of Thank God It's Friday, edition of Morning Spring. God bless Nigeria, Daniel.
Daniel Meka is my name. Join us again tomorrow, of course, like Femi said, for the Friday edition. Do have a wonderful day. Good morning.